Yeah. Are we running live? Oh,
we are live.
Woohoo.
Great. Good Monday morning, ladies. It's Carol Lourie, and I'm here with a dear friend and colleague, Kenneth Schwartz, who is the CEO of Purple Power. Take a look at this, because we're here to talk about it. And one of the wonderful things I like about this, and Ken is going to go into scientific details, is that in my proprietary recipe, the Healing Smoothie, you add this and you get all the benefits without taking another pill. And it tastes like, doesn't interfere with the taste of the smoothie. So welcome, Ken, and thank you so much for being here today.
Well, glad to be on.
So why don't you give us a little background information about this great product and how it was developed and all of that information?
Actually, carbon 60 is a molecule of carbon shaped exactly like a little soccer ball, 60 carbon atoms. And it was actually the original thing that was discovered in outer space, but it's also found in nature. And what it was discovered in 1985 to solve a long-standing mystery in astronomy. Something between the stars was absorbing, infrared light. And
fascinating.
Three guys, Harry Kroto, Richard Smalley, and Robert Curl, got the Nobel Prize in chemistry for the discovery of C60, which is science name is Buckminster fullerene. Because I don't know, for some of you remember, Buckminster Fuller used to make those geodesic domes back in the 60s.
Yeah, well, I remember, but a lot of people are born after that. But I remember.
Yeah, I have a few gray hairs, so I do have that. And so he actually predicted the existence of this molecule and there would health benefits decades before that happened. So that's just one of those little mysteries of it. But so they got the Nobel Prize in 1996. It was really kind of hard to make. So it wasn't until the early 2000s that scientific studies, primarily for toxicity, started, because here's a molecule, mysterious molecule from outer space, even though we can find it now in the burnt wick of your candle is like 0.25% C60. So it's around. And it basically increased the lifespan of test animals by 90% over controls, which was very surprising.
Amazing. That's a pretty amazing statement.
Yes, it is. And how I got to it, I'm a research scientist, so I was running the metal oxygen fusion reactor project. And, there's a lot of late doctors this and dead professors that associated with that research. So I just, for extra protection for my team and myself, I went out looking for something to protect against radiation. And I discovered C60. And, they did in scientific studies, they gave one set of rats got C60, the other didn't. They hit them with a fatal dose of radiation, and pretty much all the C60 rats live where every one of the control rats, died. And so when I learned about that, I got a couple sources of C60. We took it during the experimentation. We're all still around, so I guess it worked as a radiation protectant. And but was kind of, but I kept taking it even after it was over, because I got, a little bit more energy, some mental clarity, and the afternoon blahs you get, after you eat lunch, you want to take a nap.
Really?
Away. And but the real thing that changed, which was unexpected, is when I went to see my optometrist. About 7 months after starting C60, my DRUs, or dry macular degeneration, had completely disappeared, and which he had never actually seen before in his practice, in his many decades of practice.
So you had macular degeneration and it improved or disappeared?
It's gone 100%. And, I went to the optometrist, a few months ago, and they'd have that new, better photos in the back. Absolutely nothing. And the other thing that happened is after I learned about that, I had learned a few months later, my friend Gary Rodriguez, he was the electrical engineer on our fusion reactor project. He had developed severe wet macular degeneration. So I made C60 and MCT coconut oil for him, because he had type 2 diabetes, which brought it on. And anyone knows that if you medium chain triglycerides can be turned into ketones by your liver very quickly. And then that functions as like flex fuel for your cells. You can use ketones or glucose, right? So, so after a year,
that's a very important pathway for women with breast cancer, by the way, ladies.
Yeah.
What Ken just mentioned.
And because cancer tissue doesn't use the Krebs cycle, whereas ketones are key to the Krebs cycle. So that's a very important thing. And so after about a little over a year, taking C60 and MCT oil, tablespoon a day. He's the kind of guy that records every day how long he walks the dock. He's an engineer, right? And so, anyway, his severe wet macular degeneration went away. And so I started making it for, because losing your vision is a bad thing. So I learned how to make it.
Yeah, totally.
Friends and family. And then I shared it with healthcare practitioners that I knew, and they had great success. They shared it with their patients, had success. And one thing led to another. It became C60 Purple Power, the company. So it's been changed over, and now we're shopc60.com. So if you're looking for us, that's shopc60.com. The brand, 60 Purple Power brand, still there, but the website name's different.
Ladies, I have a special code that I'm going to put in the comments once this is posted on Facebook, and I believe it provides you with a discount. So just wait for the code before you purchase this, okay? So outside of macular degeneration, and did it help his diabetes also, the type of
yes, his diabetes went subclinical.
So we have eye health, we have blood sugar health, which is very important because often when women are put on hormonal therapy after active treatment of chemo and radiation, they can develop prediabetes due to the aromatase inhibitors and what the Warburg effect does with their sugar metabolism. So how do you recommend women take this?
Well, there's two ways. We have, it's usually in an oil. You can take like a teaspoon a day. And that's, and we have different types of oils. We have, of course, the MCT and coconut oil that you mentioned, but it also comes in, we also have an avocado oil, which is much more easy to adjust. Because when the C60 market was just a handful of people, and when I started my company, I'm the only one. I first started putting in an avocado oil because that's much easier to digest than olive oil, especially if you want to take a bunch, extra virgin olive oil can go right through you. And then also I put it in MCT oil for coconut oil for, people with glucose processing issues. So I kind of choose the Goldilocks of oils. We certainly don't want those seed oils with those.
No, we never recommend seed oils. Yeah.
And then on the other side of the Goldilocks equation, you got things like fish oil or flaxseed oil or something that is really high in omega-3s, but it goes rancid really quickly.
Yes, it does.
We kind of picked the three olive oil, avocado oil, and MCT oil. Though we do have gummies too. These are actually very nice.
Yes, but they have sugar in them.
Well, we have a sugar-free gummy too.
And what is the sugar-free version? What is the sugar?
Let me see what it is. It is allulose.
I have to look that up.
Yes.
As far as how that is for women with breast cancer.
Yeah. So that's that's another way to do it. So anyway, if and you just take you want to take in the morning a teaspoon to a tablespoon, depending age, weight, health problem that you're working on. On our website, we have a little thing, but for most people, it's somewhere between the teaspoon and the tablespoon.
And what do you recommend? I mean, let's talk about the science and the research behind this for women with, I'm specialized in women with breast cancer, but in general, let's talk about a little bit the research that you've seen and done on this with breast cancer or cancer in general.
Okay, well, like for instance, the first study I mentioned where rat lifespans was increased by 90%. Actually would have been more, but some of the rats had an accident at the end so that they could publish because those C60 rats weren't going away. It'd been 5.5 years. But
wow.
But what they were doing is they used Wistar rats, and Wistar rats are a specific type of rat which mimics human aging. So it's like rapid aging in mice or rats that's like human aging. And one of the things, Wistar rats usually die of cancers, and the C60 rats had no cancers whatsoever.
That's amazing. And go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So I'll cut to the chase on some of it. What they discovered about C60, it's what is called a superoxide dismutase catalase mimic. And I'm going a little sciencey here, but in your mitochondria, there are antioxidants that your body makes, your cells make, that can't really be supplemented for, at least before C60. And the most important for your mitochondria, which are little powerhouses that make ATP for your cells. And they use SOD, superoxide dismutase and catalase, to neutralize superoxide, the most damaging oxidative radical in the body, which is the mitochondria little furnaces they make a lot of. And so it's like kind of a regulatory thing. When cells go senescent or cancerous, they actually go into the fermentation mode. Mm-hmm. The cell completely stops producing SOD and catalase and so the mitochondria also have to go in the fermentation mode. What happens when you take C60, it goes into the mitochondria, it restarts the Krebs cycle. That's the ATP oxygen burning cycle. And they send messages to the nuclear DNA. And then once the mitochondria turn back on, and if they don't get the right ones back, they initiate apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. And so one of the side effects of that, people that take C60 for a long time, is they have a very high level of stem cells because C60 has wiped out the senescent cells. and those are cells in fermentation. You know, I'm not a medical doctor. I can't give medical advice or make claims. Just letting you know, but I can just tell you what the science research has given there, because I'm
right. That's what we're doing.
And so it'll kill off the senescent cells and other defective cells that aren't functioning correctly, and then you have a lot of stem cells to replace those missing cells. And so average telomere lengths actually increase for people, because so many senescent cells are gone and they've been replaced by stem cells, which have much longer telomeres. So telomeres are a sign of aging. They're like little wraps along the end of the chromosome. So that's kind of how C60 does. And in some of the science literature, they do have, or C60 has helped with cancer treatment. Certainly, we've had that happen with people. It's more of a preventative measure and a maintenance measure to a certain extent, but it's not the whole thing. C60 lifts the oxidative burden that your cells are under, and that allows them to operate the way they did, you know, more efficiently when you were younger. And so that's kind of its secret there. It's also very anti-inflammatory, and that's what original cause was. In fact, the whole story about they gave rabbits arthritis in their joints, and then which, you know, causes inflammation. Then they injected C60 in the joints to get rid of the inflammation. And yes, C60 did get rid of the inflammation, but when they looked at the joints, the cartilage had actually regrown.
That's amazing.
And that's where then they discovered the whole thing about stem cells and getting rid of senescent cells. And that was so a lot of things. So people, we do have some precursors, because any cell type in your body that any cell type in your body that has a lot of mitochondria has C60 will really help with. And so the first cell type that has the most mitochondria are endocrine system, cells of the endocrine system.
Mm-hmm.
So when you take C60, you'll get like more melatonin, you'll get more, human growth hormone, more T3 and T4. And the counterindication, it restarts your adrenal glands. So you're going to get more of, androgens, which of course goes to sex hormones, but you're also going to get more glucocorticoids, which goes to like regulating blood sugar. But the other thing, the adrenals make mineral corticoids, which regulate, quote, blood thickness. So if you're on a blood thinner, you should consult with your doctor before taking C60, because what happens is C60 can often get rid of the problem, the cause of, quote, blood thickness. So if you're taking a blood thinner and your blood goes back to where it should be, then your blood's too thin. So just to let you know, and that can be a problem if you're taking blood thinners. Please consult with your doctor. It takes a while. This takes, it's not going to happen overnight.
Like a couple months.
Yeah, exactly. My macular degeneration took 7 months. Gary took a year. So a lot of people go off T3 and T4, the thyroid, medicines, but that's a long month thing. So just get more testing. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. And part of the reason we think is a lot of it, especially like Hashimoto's, they don't have any functioning cells there, right?
Right.
But C60 wipes out the senescent cells, then stem cells come in and replace the missing cells, and those cells are working, right? Because they start working, and so slowly you start getting, these organs start working again. It's not overnight, but it does happen, and you just have to make sure you get more testing so that you don't get out of balance with where you should be.
So I'm wondering, I'm just thinking out loud. Do you think women undergoing radiation, that this would be an appropriate thing to take during radiation, or because it's an antioxidant, they should just start it as soon as they're done radiation?
I can't say to that. I can tell you anecdotal stories from customers.
Yeah, let's hear.
We've had customers, all the customers that took C60 during treatment, basically their cancers went into remission.
Mm-hmm.
Like their hair. Well, one guy was taking like an ounce or 2 ounces a day. He was a programmer. He had that thread-like cancer in the brain. What is that? Myostoma or something?
Glioblastoma.
Glioblastoma. Yeah, glioblastoma. And he's a programmer, right? He's going to get radiated. He wants to have a brain. So he took 2 ounces, I think, an ounce to 2 ounces a day. And hair never fell out. He never got sick because they did the chemo too on him. The doctors were astonished. And after, I think, 13 weeks, he tested in remission, which is, they have like a 5% success rate on that cancer, by the way. So C60, this is anecdotal stories. and I can't, stay for it. But I think part of the problem is because C60, cancer cells are in the fermentation mode, just like senescent cells. And in scientific studies of animals, it completely prevented the occurrence of cancers. Of course, once you have a cancer, that's different. So it seems C60 seems to support treatments for cancer treatments. So it makes them more efficient, at least from the anecdotal results.
So, ladies, I think that because this is such a very powerful antioxidant and it gets into the cells and influences the ATP in the mitochondria, that just to be on the safe side, that it would be best not to take this during radiation. I know with my community and the research in PubMed, during radiation, you do not want to take any form of vitamin E, such as N-tocotrienols or any of the vitamin E's. Most radiation oncologists say do not take any supplements at all. Actually, there's quite a bit of research about supplements and herbs you can use to support your healthy cells and protect them and have the radiation become more effective. And the radiation oncologists, unfortunately, aren't aware of that. So there are certain supplements, and my healing smoothie, I adjust the recipe for women to take what I call the radiation protection protocol. But I think that this would be like, if you finish radiation on a Monday, for example, I would start taking this on Tuesday. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, there's no scientific studies to support that.
Yeah. So better to err on the safe side than interfere with, I'm an integrative practitioner, and I am very supportive of the doctors doing what they do. And then I want to keep the woman as healthy as possible during and after treatment.
Well, yeah, we don't recommend C60 during pregnancy.
Really? That's interesting. Why?
Because there is no studies on it. We've had, one of the things is C60 increases hormone levels. So, across the board.
At a teaspoon a day, it increases.
But everything. It's because it's not like hormone replacement therapy. What it does is the mitochondria make pregnenolone, the precursor.
Right, pregnenolone, right.
So when you restore mitochondria function in your body, in the endocrine system, now those cells are producing enough pregnenolone, and then they decide what to turn it into, right? So the pregnenolone now is back up.
That's the precursor. The pregnenolone is one of the precursor hormones.
So everything rises, like, pineal gland, pituitary gland, T3, T4, everything
Thyroid
rises, but it's the body. It's not like hormone replacement therapy. The body is deciding what you need and where you need it, because your mitochondria, basically, as we get older, aging reduces the SOD and catalase production. And the thing is, until C60 came around, there was absolutely no way to increase SOD or catalase levels in the body. Well, C60 does the job of both in one shot, dealing with superoxide. And it also does the job of glutathione and dealing with the hydroxyl ion, because that's the only two oxidative radicals C60 works with, is the superoxide and the hydroxyl ion, the two most damaging oxidative radicals in the body, which your body doesn't use for signaling molecules. C60 does not interfere with any body signaling molecules. For instance, usual things is from science research, they found that 0.1 to 0.2 milligrams per kilogram of body weight was a health efficacious dose, and they had no toxicity at that level. So they decided, let's test for toxicity. They took it up to a gram of C60 per kilogram of body weight, which is 10,000 times the health beneficial dose. And even at that level, there was no toxicity associated with the C60.
Right. That's important to know that. It's not like you can take too much, but I want to make sure that women are taking it at the right time of their healing journey. So that's a very important thing that you need to know. I think this is an amazing product, ladies. And I'm going to put my link in the chat underneath the video for you to access my account within Ken's website, and I believe you're going to get a discount. The wonderful thing I think about this is that, first of all, you have different oil options as the base, number one. Number two, there's no horrible taste. Number three, you can add it to your healing smoothie every day, so it's less pills that you need to take.
Sure. We do have some other products.
Yes, go ahead. Share away.
This is our C60. It's an edible massage oil.
Oh, okay, ladies, that's fantastic.
But it's also, you can use it as a topical because it's nice for topical, like for sunburns and things. You can put it on the sunburn, and it gets rid of the inflammation and the
Do you
pain.
think it would be good to put over a mastectomy scar after it's
healed? Yes, especially some of the people work with it, they found that putting it constantly on the scar would it turned the scar from red into white, and also it became less and less. So one of our Sierra, she's been doing that. She had like broke her arm and had like a really nasty scar where they had to open it up and do that. And so it's always been red and inflamed, and she's been doing that like every day for a year. And it's gone down, you know, from being red and kind of reddish looking and ugly to just white and hardly even noticeable.
Great. So that's called C60 sexy.
Yes. And then we also have, it's coming out next week. We also have an eye cream and a face cream. C60 anti-gravity serum for the face and youth renewal eye cream, which are coming out next week. So if
everyone on my email list is going to be getting an email with this information, because my community loves face creams and we all need to take care of our faces. So that's wonderful.
In fact, that was the first study, a human study of C60, is they actually had made a face cream and it reduced lines and wrinkles in Japanese women.
Oh, sign me up. I need a sample of that immediately, please.
And then they also did a studies where, you know, they put C60 topically, increased hair growth. That was
that's nice for helping women regrow their hair after they've lost it from chemotherapy. There's no downside to any of these products, ladies. They're really great. So, Ken, thank you so much. I'm going to be putting all the information at the bottom of this video, and I'm going to be sending an email out to my community with all of the links here for all of your wonderful information. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day, and have a wonderful afternoon, ladies. It's Carol Lourie signing off for now, and there'll be more later. Thank you for joining us.